10%. These were charged after a marathon meeting at this year's Cocoa Freight Negotiation Conference held at the Hilton Sorrento Palace in Italy. Here is the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Benonita Bismarck.
In response to feedback from stakeholders, it has been decided that the liner and mega bulk rates be differentiated as was done in 2005. Consequently, basic freight for containerized shipments to all destinations except the UK has been increased by 5%. Basic freight for mega bulk shipments to all destinations except the UK has been increased by 10%. Bunker adjustment factor to all destinations except the UK has been increased by 2 percentage points, that is from 28% to 30%. The summary of the negotiated freight rates for the shipment of cocoa for the 2022-2023 season then this breakdown is as follows. For batch cargo, UK is £31.50, North Continent €54.02, Estonia, €61.74, Med, €60.64, Far East, $100.44 to $106.09, Brazil, $116.24, and for bulk, UK, £31.50, North Continent, €56.6, Estonia, €64.7, Med, €63.53, and Brazil, $121.78. And as indicated, the BAF for the UK remains unchanged. The North Continent 30%, Estonia, Med is 30%.
You hear the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Benonita Bismarck. The head of the second biggest U.S. port export, the pandemic-era surge in consumer demand that snailed supply chain will start to cool, with evidence of the declaration already reflected in weaker inbound container arrivals. Imports into Long Beach have now fallen for 2 months. Meanwhile, the neighboring port of Los Angeles registered the biggest decline in inbound cargo since the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic in August. Together, the twin operations handle about 40% of the containerized trade in Asia. The most recent data shows U.S. consumer spending and retail sales rising at a sluggish pace, a sign that the hottest inflation in almost 4 decades is starting to take its toll on the economy. Ports had for months been overwhelmed by an influx of goods and triggered supply chain logjams and delivery delays, but that is showing signs of abating due to logistics improvement and as interest rate increases are starting to cool demand. Cadero and other U.S. ports directors forecast an earlier than normal peak season in July as retailers raced around the clock to avoid another logistics nightmare around the holiday. Now, despite a cool down in the second half of the year, Long Beach is still set for a strong year. Long Beach is among 29 ports on the U.S. West Coast awaiting the outcome of labor talks between the International Longshore and Warehouse Union, which represent 22,000 dock workers, and the Pacific Maritime Association negotiating on behalf of more than 70 employers. The employees have been working without a contract since their previous pact expired July 1st, and both sides have vowed to avoid a repeat of the 2014 negotiations, which resulted in the U.S. facing 9 months of disruption and shipping delays that only ended up after the Obama's administration intervention. If you just joined us, you're listening to Maritime and Port News. Despite growing dissatisfaction over the seemingly inactive trading under AfTA, the guided trading initiative which has been introduced is expected to bring some changes. 7 party states under the AfTA will begin the guided trade initiative to test all the negotiations, documents, policies and procedures that have been agreed on so far as the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is concerned. The countries include Cameroon, Ghana, Egypt, Tanzania, Kenya, Rwanda and Mauritius. Speaking on the issue, trade consultant and AfTA expert Dodu Seidu stated the program will kickstart on October 7th and countries are currently ready for active trading. He revealed that these 7 countries are those who have submitted their schedule of tariff concessions and have demonstrated advanced processes on the grounds, rendering these countries relatively more prepared to...
Yeah. Surprise yaw. Sir Obey meeting opposition and as a resistance I the opposite because
trade in goods that qualify under the acceptable rules of origin by 7th October 2022.
Anytime
On this note, to wrap up this morning's edition of Maritime and Port News, proudly sponsored by the Ghana Shippers Authority, they provide you with the best in all your shipping solutions. Contact them at the Shippers House in Accra. My name is Nanisi Boateng. My producer, Kwekwa Boateng.
But
have a great day.
And I'm saying, Adia Oyeno, a Yema Ghana.
Spanish garlic mixture and then the capsules. One more dear for San when you put your name.
Maybe they look as a metron and my shoulder. Say, I hear. Coso, for low, I mean, but the back of pet, and the mammy can't. Okay.